Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Welcome to part 2 for stomach cancer challenges, overcoming challenges and adapting. So we had a great time talking last time. I want to thank you for joining me again. And as this is tea time to talk. Again, I have a tea. Anybody else with a tea or something else to drink today?
I got my coffee.
Okay, all right. So I want to explain for the tea I have today, it actually is a peach flavored tea, but it also has several herbs in it for stomach issues, like for just even dyspepsia, which is kind of when your stomach feels a little off or a little mild nausea or anything like that. So this is a great one in case we have anybody who's listening who actually does have, some side effects from treatment or anything like that. This is a really good one. It's just called Stomach Comfort. So it's a yogi tea. And anyway, it tastes great too. So you don't have to have a stomach issue to drink it. So anyway, thank you and welcome.
Doc, do you buy that at any store or you can get it, you have to go to a health food store?
Great question. No, I got that right at our local grocery, which is Publix. So, and I feel certain you can find it on Amazon, like everything, right? But you can definitely get it at the regular grocery stores.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Very good. So we wanted to go a little deeper today because there's so many other things to talk about with stomach cancer. In fact, I thought the best thing to start off with is just simply that it is stomach cancer. I mean, it's not lung cancer. It's not, cancer of the finger. I mean, it's so many other things that it could be. Specifically, uniquely, stomach cancer, of course, is affecting your nutrition, how you're eating. So I want to hear from you though. I know from my point of view as a nutritionist and a psychologist, what I hear from patients, but what is so unique to you, you think, about having specifically stomach cancer? Who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Okay. My eating was very, with my first chemo, in the early stages of my first chemo was very, very, very affected. I couldn't hold any food in. I kept throwing up. I mean, constantly. I had constant nausea. My mouth got full of blisters. I had to eat only purees. I had to I was losing so much weight. I had to force myself to go through the terrible experience of smelling food and seeing food and eating it. But, drinking it was easier. So my chemo had 3 stages. The first 4 sessions were very bad. Then I had a fairly good middle session, another 4 that were fairly good. I started walking, I started biking again, I started doing, and then the last 4 sessions, again, they became very bad. But my stomach at that point was fairly good. At this point, now, based on my last PET scan a few months ago, my cancer apparently migrated from the stomach to the peritoneum. So the doctor was pretty sure that the stomach was free of cancer, but it moved to the peritoneum. But I was supposed to have surgery similar to Carlton, maybe not as extensive, but I was supposed to have surgery, and they said, no, you cannot have surgery. I am very happy I did not go through that surgery. Now I eat normal. I have a great appetite. I regain my weight. I'm trying to stay at 150. I don't want to go above 150. That is a good weight for me. But my stomach right now is fine. I have appetite. I eat anything and everything. I drink my beer every 2 or 3 days. I have a glass of wine. Once in a while, I have some brandy, straight, not much, a little bit, but just for flavoring. So my stomach right now is not being affected.
Okay. So in your case, and every case is a little different too, we should say that even amongst just stomach cancer, you're going to have unique cases. In your case, you did not have the surgery, but you did have some serious GI or gastrointestinal side effects. where you did have to eat pureed food or liquid food. The
Yes, in the very beginning,
one
yes.
of the hardest. And you know, when it comes to cancer of the gastrointestinal tract, and especially, of course, stomach, the first thing I think everyone should think about is you have to eat. You have no choice. I mean, every day you must eat. In fact, you must eat more because you now have cancer. You must eat certain foods. It becomes a very heroic effort on everyone's part to make sure you get the right foods, the foods you need to heal, and then maintain weight. So your story is different, Carlton. So for you, you hadn't had cancer out of the stomach yet, so you were able to have surgery as well, but you didn't have other complications, which there can be many other reasons why you don't have the surgery. And your surgery left you with even more difficulty eating, correct? Or tell us all about that.
It did. Even before surgery, as I was going through radiation and chemo, somewhat like Jose, I did have some issues. I never got the sores in the mouth and that type of thing, but I did. My food was getting congested in my chest. I was having burning sensations, especially to any type of spicy food. I was having to eliminate foods little by little, especially foods that were hard to digest and foods that required a lot of chewing. I was throwing up. I think from the radiation and the chemo, I was throwing up, but I continued to be able to eat most foods up until the time of surgery. Now, my taste buds did change. Some of the foods that I used to tolerate and some of the foods I used to like, I didn't like. But I never did lose my sensation of taste. So that was a good thing. Now, once I had surgery, it was a totally new ball game. Of course, like I said, I was on a feeding tube. I couldn't eat anything. My body could not absorb the food. I did a lot of dumping, and I still have some of those issues. As I'm healing, I'm also learning different foods. What was good last week may not be good this week, and vice versa. So it's always a learning process as far as what I can tolerate and what I can't tolerate. But I do know that once you have surgeries, it's like you say, it's very important to get the foods that heal your body. Because internally, it takes a much longer time to heal than it does externally. And you have to kind of learn. I feel like now, as I'm healing, I'm developing more scar tissue, which also causes problems within itself. I may have some strictures. I may have some narrowing of my esophagus and stomach opening, especially where they suture me back together.
Yeah.
When they removed my stomach and connected my esophagus to my intestines. At that point, I think I have some strictures because of the scar tissue. And I'm having difficulty as we speak, sometimes swallowing, even to the point of swallowing liquids. I seem to get choked up pretty easily.
Wow, I want to unpack a few of those things because, for those who are listening, there's so much important things there, so many important things to know. First of all, like you said, and both of you had to do this, and this is one of the most difficult things about cancer. I mean, your body actually needs more nutrients. We need more. We know that the metabolic rate is higher, and you need more specific nutrients, like we're saying, for healing, etc. But the very first thing that happens is what you mentioned, Carlton, because of side effects, you begin to eliminate. You eliminate certain foods. You have to because you can't tolerate them. So if you're not paying attention to the fact that you've eliminated some, which means you need to increase others, and how do you do that? You can't just say, eat more. That's where a dietitian comes in to help out with what's called nutrient dense foods, like more power for the pack power into the punch, the food you're eating, make it more nutrient dense, a smaller amount worth more nutrients, things like that. But then you laid on yet another complication with the stomach is the dumping. So let me just explain for the listener what that is. Your stomach is actually supposed to be like a reservoir, holding the food you eat so it can liquefy it, right? And that's then you're going to be able to digest. But if the stomach has been irritated by chemo or just by the cancer itself, it could hold the food, and then instead of slowly letting it into the small intestine, it will just dump it like that onto the small intestine. It's horribly uncomfortable. Plus, it really ruins the pacing that you need really to better digest and absorb your food. So it kind of throws everything off. On top of that, your esophagus itself can have, as you mentioned, strictures. Strictures is where you don't have the elasticity in the way the esophageal muscles are supposed to move to allow the food to go down the esophagus. And it can literally get stuck, or it can feel like it's getting stuck too. Even liquids, like you said, can feel like they're going up and down rather than making their way down. There's so many complications like that. And after surgery, where they hook you back up, they take part of the esophagus and then all the stomach or part of the stomach. It's different for everybody. But where you get sewn back up, that creates what's called the anastomosis, as you referred to, scar tissue. So now you've got scar tissue that the food has to pass by as well. So one small, but not so small complication after the other. And, I feel like usually the team is pretty good at explaining or forewarning, like, hey, you might have trouble, with this kind of food, especially if you have a dietitian on board. They're going to give you some heads up. But sometimes the team just says, see what you can eat, figure it out, right? Just go home and try everything. Wow. What in the world? It's like a process of elimination. That must be hard.
Yes, and even with a dietitian, it seemed like every 2 or 3 weeks I would have to call them back and get them to remind me again, what is it that I can eat, because sometimes when I thought I was eating good, I may have not been eating so healthy because of the chemical composition of the foods and how they break down, and then seems like everything you eat turns to sugar.
Yeah.
And you always have to be careful about the sugar, the amount of sugar that you're putting back into your body, because that contributes to dumping also. And another key thing I think for the listeners to know is that it's very important with the amounts. The amounts that's another key to dumping. If you eat too much, that means your body's going to recognize that this is not supposed to be here because it hadn't had time to be processed, or it's not getting processed. It must be waste. Let me let it go. And there you go again. So it's very key. And that's probably my most difficulty is changing my eating habit, where I eat very little, but very lot.
That's
And
such a good
I'm
point.
still working on that.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. I don't even think that you needed reminding. I think most patients, just like you said earlier, they're realize things change. How you feel today may be entirely different tomorrow. Next week, you might have a whole set of new issues, because it might be more of sensitivity to dumping or sensitivity to blood sugar, even the fat in the food. The amount is extremely important. Your system just can't handle it. But it could even be like inflammation that's going on. There's so many variables that as they change, you have to be able to change what you eat. It's a really, that's why I use the word heroic. To me, people who are able to eat and maintain any semblance of a healthy weight, and then even start to get healthier, which we're going to get into exercise in a minute, it's heroic because it's against all odds. It's really difficult. And I would invite people who are listening to please email us if you have questions, if you're going through this, because you need to know now, like in real time, what to do about these things. So this is the website, creationbalance.com, that emails right through the website if you want to, or you can email creationbalance@yahoo.com, either one. But we'll be ready, for your questions, and we'll answer them directly, but we'll also, if we get enough people who want it, we'll do another podcast again. So, does it become discouraging? At first it must have been so confusing and discouraging. You're just trying to eat, and you can't not eat. I mean, you did have a period there where we'll have to feed a patient by tube feeding because you simply can't get it going yet physically, but everybody wants to enjoy food again. Or feel good about food at least, right? What's that like?
I have a question for Carlton.
Yes.
Yeah, Carlton, I'm sure you mentioned that before, but at this point, are you on remission or are you still have cancer?
Now, I'm supposed to be cancer-free. I'm either cancer-free or remission. I don't know whether that's interchangeable, but
So,
supposedly when they did the surgery, they said they got it all.
so right now you are not going through any kind of chemo,
No, I finished my chemo and I finished my immunotherapy.
your radiation.
I did
Okay, all
12
right.
months
So
of immunotherapy also.
all your discomforts now are due to the fact that you do not have stomach.
Don't have stomach. Yeah, it's pretty much gastro problems now,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
cancer problem, but gastro problem.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks
I
for making
found
that point, Jose.
I was developing a new I was developing a discomfort in my stomach with like some of the previous symptoms, the early symptoms, and I started taking pantoprazole, 50 DR, 20 milligrams every morning. I was taking 40 in the beginning, but then I said, let me see what happens if I can bring it down to 20. And it seems to be lasting the whole day. So I am taking that, and that seems to be helping me because I was getting discomfort, like bloating, like sometimes I could feel the gastric juices coming up a little bit, not much. But this pantoprazole seems to have helped me out a lot.
So interesting
Yeah,
you mentioned that because that medication actually does help the stomach to release some of the food that's coming. So it's helping it not to stay stuck there because that's creating the symptoms and helps you release it. So
Yeah, again, sometimes I eat big amounts. I mean, sometimes I get a good normal person's size plate. Sometimes I don't, but I try not to eat too much. But sometimes, you get happy and you fill up your plate, and you eat big size meal, and it doesn't seem to bother me.
and
well,
that was most of my problem, Jose. I also take the pantoprazole also, and I take it twice a day. I take it in the morning and I take it at night. And that's in conjunction with the creon that I take also that helps me neutralize, absorb the food. And I can relate when you said you get happy sometimes. And when I feel good and I feel like I got an appetite and I'm having home cooked meals and something that tastes good, I tend to eat too much of it also. And I've done that on several occasions. And on several occasions, I've been sick afterwards. So I have to pay the price when I do that.
Yeah.
yeah,
you do.
it's so interesting because the creon is digestive enzyme. It helps your system digest it. You guys are perfect because you're in different situations. You could still have some symptoms from eating too much when your stomach is intact, but when part of it's been removed, you really pay the price because now it throws everything off, the dumping, the digestion, the cramping, everything. Yeah. But when you have food that you like and you feel good because it tastes good, you didn't lose your sense of taste, which is good, and the food is healthy and right, you're in a social setting. What do you both do in social settings?
Social settings are very far between. My only social setting is with my family.
Okay.
This is one problem. I live in a community of retired people, and although we have a lot of facilities, but people stick to themselves. I mean, you can establish conversation with people, but there is nothing. I am part of the carpentry. I do carpentry stuff. We have sailboats. Now it's too hot to go to sail. I go to the gym every day. But
I was
people do their
specific,
thing, and there's not much social
no eating with other
interaction.
people but your family then. How about a holiday? You don't eat
Yeah.
around other people?
Yeah, no, I don't meet too much to eat with people to eat. I became a very frugal person, and I am happy with a once in a while we get a one of those double hamburgers from one of these places, one of these fast food places. So we go to a restaurant maybe every 2 weeks. I take my wife out mostly. I do it for her. And but no, social. Yeah, I go to my family's in Orlando, so it's 2.5 hours away. I go there like every 2, 3 weeks, spend some time with them, and yeah, my son takes us out to a restaurant or something like that. But no, not too much social. I'm thinking of maybe starting to do some volunteer work. I don't know, maybe with some children, kids,
Yeah.
mentoring kids, or in a jail, helping people in jail, or
Right.
although that could be very depressing.
Well, yeah, there's so, well, before we get on to that, because we are going to get on to activities and all,
Yeah.
the change in eating socially can be so different for different patients. Like for yours, I see how it's been different. The other two aspects I'm thinking of, sometimes the caregiver is trying to make the food and have the food, if you're in a family setting, how it has always been, and that no longer works for the patient. Or sometimes a patient really is on their own completely because they can't even, it's very hard to even navigate a restaurant. That's usually when there has been a surgery. Carlton, what are those two things like in your situation?
Well, the thing for me is basically when I'm out, I'm either with people that's close in my circle, or I'm in with family, so they know about my condition, and I don't really feel. Only thing I feel bad about is I can't eat as much as they eat. But
Okay.
when I'm out, I sip a lot, and I might sip water with lemon. I can't do Cokes and all that's the sweet stuff, the sweet teas and all of that. I just get me some water, maybe a dash of lemon in it.
Okay.
And I might put, for me, I might put one little package of Sweet and Low or something like that in it just to give it a little flavor. And I usually order, if they have fish on the menu, I can do that.
Okay.
I'll do fish. Anything I order must be soft. Sometimes I can get chicken wings, but I'm accustomed to eating and asking for a carry out. I just get the plate and it's customary. I'm going to carry some food out. Other than that, I might just get some appetizer, but I can't order a lot. And I avoid banquets. I avoid smorgasbords. I avoid buffets because it's just a waste of money. I can't eat anything, so that don't work for me anymore. And that's how I navigate it.
Okay. And if somebody like in the neighborhood or somewhere were having like a barbecue, or people invited you to their house for dinner, would you just explain to them, or would they know you well enough to ask you what can you eat, or would you avoid the situation entirely?
Well, mostly if anybody invite me, that means they're gonna know me. So I will sometimes taste. I'll just taste. I'll take a bite because it's not that I can't eat it at all, but I might just taste it. They know I can't do a lot of smoke. I shouldn't do anything smoked, actually. I'll do something on the grill. Say if my daughter is hosting and she's doing something, she always gonna try to fix something that I can eat. They know that. So that's gonna always be included. But if I just go to a general picnic, I might take something, just have a bite of it or so, but I definitely don't overindulge. I definitely don't do anything that's going to cause me to have to start running to the bathroom. I'm very cognizant of that. So I've kind of gotten accustomed to being able to be a part of something, like some type of picnic or something like that, but I just mingle and talk. I do more talking than eating, and nobody really notices but me.
Okay, I really admire both of your ability to adapt, but that's truly adapting. actually going and enjoying the social aspect of being there, maybe having little bits of the food. And yeah, that's great. It really is.
Well, I'm like Jose, I have to do some things for my wife because I can't keep her pinned in here
Yeah.
with me
Mm-hmm.
in misery.
Mm-hmm.
So she still has to go. We still want to do things together. And, I don't want to just say, well, you go and go without me and that type of thing. So, I still try to be normal as much as I feel like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Be normal. That's it. I hear that all the time. That's something, even the doctors and the staff have a hard time with trying to explain. We'll say things like, we want you to keep your life as normal as possible. Well, normal meaning you're normal, but it's not really ever normal again. But everybody has their idea of what makes it feel better or customary. Like, explain what that is for you. I mean,
Cartoon or me?
either.
Go ahead, Jose.
Okay, normal. I try to live as normal as possible, as normal as I can. As I said, I go to the gym every day. I push as much weight as I can. Well, I can do 40 reps. By the time I do the 40, sometimes I put the pin in the wrong, too light. So I use 20 machines. Sometimes I remember what is the good weight. Sometimes if I put too light, I just do 80 reps or 60 reps. If all of a sudden I got the machine and I put the wrong pin, I do 20. But then maybe I switch it. But with each machine, I end up tired with that one muscle. I end up being tired. So then I do the resistance pull. I try to do, I drive, I go on the bicycle within the community. I don't use my car inside. It's a large community. I use the bicycle all over. I would like to, before I used to play ping pong, I used to play pickleball. I could play ping pong. I cannot play pickleball anymore because of my hernia. I have a huge hernia. They cannot dare operate me. They will not. My oncologist say if I have a problem with that hernia, it would become a big issue because I cannot go under anesthesia at this point. The chemo I'm taking right now and anesthesia, they don't get along. So he said it would take a month of no Cyramza, that chemo, Cyramza,
Okay.
1 month, and then do the surgery, and then another month before I go back into Cyramza. So anyway, the only thing I would like to do is I am a communicator. I like to talking. I like to express myself. I like to share. And I'd like to maybe join something. I have to do something like that. I spend too many hours in the house alone. My wife works a lot. So I spend a lot of hours here. And, I just took out my yoga mat yesterday. I took it out and I said, well, while I am here watching some of these things on TV, on documentaries, whatever, I can be doing on the mat, stretching or doing or Tai Chi. I like Tai Chi. I do a normal, not for seniors. I do a normal Tai Chi exercise. Sometimes I need to use a walking stick, keep it handy because some of the moves I'm afraid to fall down.
Okay.
So I use the walking stick to help me because I'm usually alone. If I fall down, I can get up. There was a time I could not get up. If I fell down, it was a major ordeal to get up.
Well, because
So-
of weakness?
Yeah, weakness. I just could not
Muscle
get up.
contraction.
So I kept my telephone with me all the time in my pocket, all the time.
Yeah.
And I never lock my door. My door is always open. My cars, I never lock my cars. I never lock I only lock or door at night. At daytime, my door is. Many people in place where I live, the doors are open. They don't lock the doors for the same reason because they're afraid that they might fall or something, and then so somebody can get in easily. I got keys for 3 apartments in my building, for 3 neighbors. I got keys. So we communicate with each other. We help each other out. But it's very depressing to see people in such a maybe they're much worse than I am. I am in bad shape, but they are 90 years old and they are in really bad shape.
That makes sense.
It's just, I get restless. I see them, I say hello, this, that, but then I cannot sit there besides we don't have anything in common.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot to offer. I want to get back to some ideas of things you can do in a minute.
Okay.
And Carlton, I saw you shake your head when I said, but you really can't be normal. Like, so tell me for you, what would normal be and why can't you really get there? You know?
Well, it's not that I wasn't shaking my head because it's not normal, because that doesn't sound right, but
Okay.
it's a new normal.
Okay.
I was shaking my head because you're right. I can't, it's not going to be that normal what I remember. But now I got to establish a new normal that I can be happy with. And I'm still adjusting to that, you know, because after being 30, 40 years in the gym and you can't go, that's hard. That's like any jock that never wants to put the bat down, never wants to put the ball down, out there 50, 60 years old, still trying to play ball with the young folks until they finally either get hurt or they finally realize that they just don't have the skills that they used to have. So that was my normal. I was always able to do things athletically, and I went from one task to another. Now I don't have the stamina to do so. So normal for me now is if I get up and I'm not lightheaded and I'm not dizzy and I'm eating good that day, I don't expect to do a lot of activity. So my agenda is never that full. But my first order of the day is to get up and I walk my dog. So by me having the dog, that's actually it's a blessing in disguise, because that forces me to get out and do that. Sometimes I walk for miles and sometimes maybe not as far. But if he wasn't getting me up every morning, I may not do that then. I was going to the gym and I'm like, Jose, I have to start off slowly. Sometimes I put too much, and if I put too much, I do less. If I put too little, I do more. But I do try to work myself to some sort of exhaustion. I usually don't work myself to a sweat because I don't do things at that pace. But I do try to, and I basically concentrate on my core. Because I feel like I have to have the core in order to build muscle. Anywhere else, I have to be able to sustain the weight and stand on my legs and stuff like that. So that's where I focus mostly. I do the bike and I do treadmill, and I'm looking forward to getting back in the pool. I'll start with walking resistance against the water, then I'll start doing a half lap, a lap, 2 laps, holding my breath. Because all that is working on my diaphragm and working on my stomach. I can't even hold my breath for 5 seconds now. I have to retrain myself to do that. So that's my next goal, is to get back in the pool and start my aerobic exercises, my aqua aerobics, and then start swimming just a bit at a time as I can increase my lung capacity.
Well, it's so impressive listening to both of you. Not only the fact that you're flexible and that you're still, you didn't stop, you're taking the challenge and you're doing things, but even if you had physical therapy, there's an end to that. But you both know your way around a gym. Like, you know what to do in a gym. And, you can't, it sounds like you know your bodies too. You know what to tailor it down, what you're able to do, not to overdo it, not to get injuries, not to, it's really impressive to hear that. You both know that. I wonder what your advice for somebody who may not have had the experience in the gym, what would you recommend that they do to get going again, or to get going at all, because it's so important, the physical exercise. Before we even answer that, would you agree with me that the physical exercise, of course, is important for your strength and your agility, right? Your balance, even like Tai Chi is incredibly good for balance, but for your mental health as well, do you find you really need the exercise to feel yourself, who you are?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carlton.
I was going to say it's definitely good for me. I was just remembering when I when I first got out of the hospital and I couldn't walk and I was sitting in the chair all the time. And I remember when I couldn't even lift a water bottle above my head. But I remember how I felt when I was able to lift 3 pounds, a 3-pound dumbbell. I get up out of my chair and walk from the chair out to the front sidewalk and back. I mean, when you start doing things physically and start feeling yourself getting stronger, even the most minute movement is it does a lot for you mentally. And your mental state is always important in your healing.
Sure
And
is.
some of you are making here that I'm cleaning I'm having to clear my throat.
Yeah, so
That's
maybe I
some
can
of the-
maybe I can give yourself a break. The thing with exercise is you have to force yourself. You have to know that you have to get out of the situation you are, the weak situation, and the only way you can get those muscles back into functioning is by just using them. Use it or lose it, you know. So
But we're still here.
yeah, okay, that's my telephone. I put a rooster,
Okay.
so I can hear it very well. I can hear it. Anyway, you have to force yourself to get out of that chair and just get out. I started by just we have a catwalk in my building, and I would get out. And in the beginning, I had no walking sticks. I would just do it. My aim was to go 3 times back and forth. Sometimes I accomplished 3 times. I felt very happy. Sometimes one time I wanted to get back inside and sit down in my chair. I said, no, let me do 2 times at least. You have to force yourself, and then always challenge yourself. Go beyond your limit, a little bit beyond your limit every single time.
Okay.
And don't think of yourself as you have to think of yourself that this is a temporary thing. You have to get out of it and overcome all these things. And you have pain, well, you know, I am blessed. I have not had any pain in all this treatment. So far, I'm very happy. So you have to force yourself to exercise.
So you force yourself, but I'm hearing that could even be in the house. Get up, walk from here to there, make
Yes.
sure you're, just these things of just everyday living. And then I'm also hearing force yourself, but start small. Like really start small. Make sure you're comfortable with
And
what
it's,
you're doing.
yeah, always go beyond, a little bit beyond your limit, a little bit. You get to your limit and then just do a little bit more just to force yourself. And slowly your stamina, your strength will start getting back to you, and you will, and then I am pretty much back. Well, I'm not back to normal. I will never go back to what I was. But I'm happy I can do 10 miles on a bicycle. I used to do 100, but I'm happy I can do 10.
Okay. So even your
so
attitude has to change a little bit because you had to rework your mind to realize I'm not going to do 100 now anyway. So be happy for 10. Like you have to change your perspective on that and how you judge it. You got to be a kind judge of yourself. That's for sure, right?
yeah, well, you have to force yourself and do. Now, I would like to go back to play pickleball. I used to play 10, 15 games straight, only 2 people on the court, not 4, 2.
No,
That means you have to run a lot more.
Yeah.
And this was with my neighbor, and we get along, but we compete with each other a lot. And he used to beat me all the time because he's taller, he's more mental. I am not as mental. He played strategy. I'm not. He was a smarter player than I was. But we played 10 games, and even if I lost, I didn't care. Because first of all, it's not a competition, and second, I accomplished my aim was to exercise. And boy, did I exercise playing 10 games of pickleball. You do. I mean, straight. We took a court and we played 10 games, one after the other.
Goodness.
And but I can't do that anymore. I would like to play 1 or 2 games now, but I have a hernia the size of 2 tennis balls.
Well, I like also, you mentioned or alluded to the idea, you might do a different exercise too. Like do something. If you can't go back to what you were doing. You too, Carlton, right? Like there's a lot that you used to do, but you do something different. Like you're not playing tennis yet, but you
I'm not
a
I'm not
tennis
playing
player.
tennis yet, but
Yeah,
to piggyback on what Jose was saying,
yeah,
my philosophy is anything is better than nothing.
yeah.
That's that gets you on the on the small scale. Just remember anything is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The minimal increases.
Mm-hmm.
And something that was told to me that sticks in my mind is, like Jose was saying, you have to get yourself out of the bed, get out of the. I was told the only way you can get to the next level
Mm-hmm.
is to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't get to the next level by thinking about it and sitting in the chair. The only way I'm gonna get out of this chair and start walking more, I got to first get out the chair and walk.
Right.
And then when I walk to the door, I walk to the door maybe 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then on that 4th day, I'm gonna walk to the next room.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I'm gonna get to the front door, and then eventually I'm gonna get to the street.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find that a little bit at a time, just keep it. But the only way you're gonna move to another level is to go to that level. And that's how I operate.
Yeah, I want to also say that the research is amazing, and there's more and more of it lately too, that exercise is part of getting into remission and staying there. So it's not, so we're talking about it, which rightfully so is our experience of it, is we're so happy that we can do it. We get to feel better and better. Hey, we're exercising more. But the research now behind all this is incredibly strong, that having movement, any kind of movement, which is what exercise really is, whatever you can do, that is associated with no evidence of disease and longer remission. So it's being studied more for that reason, because they're realizing people who do exercise survive longer. So it's a two-way street, So you feel mentally better about it, but it also is doing something for you. It probably has something to do with circulation and inflammatory substances in your body. And, it could have a lot to do with oxygenation, and the immune system too is boosted with exercise, not in the immediate, but after it is. So it's amazing. It's amazing. We're starting to understand this whole body picture of how to not just get through treatment, but actually survive and thrive after it and have a life where you're really thriving. This has been so helpful. I like how we've gotten to these different layers now and gotten more detail in it. If you had any advice for the caregiver, that could be the spouse, or it could be a neighbor, it could be the brother or sister or the friend, or anyone who's the one who's really kind of trying to help the stomach cancer specifically patient the most, any of them, even if it's just someone who's at a distance, even, what can they do for you, or what do you want to do to help them understand what's happening? Anything you'd like to say to the caregivers out there?
Yeah, well, I can say one thing. Your caregiver, my only caregiver is my wife.
Okay.
And he's been excellent
Mm-hmm.
at providing me with, she's constantly watching over to see that I am okay. She goes to work, she works a lot, but she makes sure everything is, meals are cooked.
Mm-hmm.
I cook a little bit, not much. She does the brunt of I try to help with the dishes when she comes from work. I try to make the sink is not full of dishes, It's very depressing. You come from 10-hour work, and so I try to do that. I try to do a few things. And the caregivers are very important. I have a friend of mine right now. He lives alone. He's he's a very lazy guy. He doesn't cook at all. And he just came down with colon cancer. And actually, he's going to be seeing my same primary and my same oncologist.
Okay.
And I am trying to help him a little bit, but he has to help himself. He lost a lot of weight, and he might not make it because whenever we cook a big pot of stew or something, I bring him something. But it's not like having a spouse in the house. Caregivers have to be patient, very patient with the patient, and the patient has to be very grateful to that caregiver because it takes a lot of effort to take care of somebody that is. I mean, they're worried about you. They don't know if you're going to wake up the next morning. They always, it's very taxing on them. I feel terrible that I am giving my family all this extra worrying and all this extra work. I try not to, but things are going to probably get worse before they're going to get worse before they get better. I mean, they're not going to get much better than I am right now. Unfortunately, I'm beginning to think that I'm never going to be the same person I was before. So, but I'm happy with what I have now, and I'll I am very grateful to my caregiver, my wife, for taking care of me, and my son calls me every day, and my sister from overseas, she calls. We talk every single day. She's a doctor. She keeps pounding on me all the time about what to do. She's not only a doctor; she's the big sister. So it's a combination. It's a combination of things. But she means good. And sometimes she's a little bit persistent on her advice, but she means good, and I take it. I understand.
Oh, that's a really nice explanation of, the patience on the part of the caregiver, the gratitude on the part of the patient. But but just also that it's interdependence. I mean, I'm sure, it's not easy for everybody to take help from other people. We don't like to burden other people, but it's a way of sharing love and caring for one another. What about you, Carlton? What would you say to caregivers?
Well, everything Jose said, for one thing.
Yeah.
Be patient, be considerate. Always think about their issues in mind, because when you're cooking, you have to cook when you're cooking for someone else. I know you like to cook for yourself too, but you be cognizant of that when you bring food home. When you bring food home, if you like hot wings and then you bring a bunch of hot wings home to your patient and say, I brought you some food. And then they look at it and say, you mustn't bring that for me because I can't do all this hot wing, even though I appreciate your effort, but I can't do hot wings. So you have to think about that when you picking the menus and stuff like that. But try to have patience because it's a tough deal.
Yeah, I want to speak to something else a little bit deeper on that too. So I'm doing this for over 30 years, and I'm going to stick right to stomach cancer, but specifically when it's hard to eat. I think that some people really get very down about the idea that I've got to eat again and again and again in small amounts all day, or I can't have the food that I want to have. Even some people are impatient that you can't have the food. Why can't you just see what we're eating? It truly is a very difficult thing to navigate because it can really make you feel like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but especially I've heard patients say, I feel like a glutton, eating, keep thinking about eating. I never had to think about food like this. It changes your entire mentality about what food is and why we're even eating in the food in the first place sometimes. But I think it's important for anyone listening to understand that food is not just food anymore. Once you're a cancer patient and once you have GI cancer, but especially a stomach cancer, there's so much more difficulty and complication and meaning for the food that you're eating. It really becomes once you get it down, what works, and once everyone is on board with it, it can be done, but it's a very difficult thing, right?
Well, it's a double-edged sword because my wife, she would always, like I said, she always wanted to make sure I ate a lot. And it just pleased her to no end if she see me eat a bunch, but then at the same time it would make me sick. So initially she would fix my plate, she would prepare my meal, and she'll put my meal on a regular sized plate. And I know, working with me, that we had a struggle with my portions and trying to get her to reduce my portions because she wanted to see me eat.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where she would prepare those meals and I would start rejecting most of it because I couldn't eat it. And that would frustrate her. And she said, I did all this effort. I put all that time into cooking something for you, and then you don't eat it. And after you do that day in and day out, it kind of frustrates her to a point where, well, I'm not going to cook now. And then you may not get, because she feel like, well, we're going to waste the food. You're not eating it. You don't, they may take that as being that you don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I had to keep reinforcing to my wife that it's not that, it's just that I can't eat it. It's not that I don't want to, I don't, but I just can't eat it. And it's all that I would tell her I appreciate. Then it went to the other extreme where I felt like maybe she wasn't cooking enough.
Oh, gosh.
And sometimes when she give me my meals, it's just a little bite. So now she's gotten much better. She's gotten much better, and she tried to give me a small amount, but enough. And sometimes I look at her, I said, this for me, this all. But that's how we have to do. She even worked at a point where she had made me a schedule because I was having problems adjusting to eating a lot of times during the day. So she had a schedule. She put it on the fridge, and what I was supposed to eat, when I was supposed to get my snack. Every meal seemed like was a snack, but she had my meals, my snack, the time I was supposed to eat it, all through the day. And sometimes she would go about her merry way and that would leave. But even though I had it in front of me, I was responsible for following through. And sometimes I didn't follow through and she would come back and I hadn't eaten. And I still, and I think even, I still don't eat as much as I should because sometimes I just don't have the desire to eat. I don't get hungry. But I know I got to keep in my head, I got to eat.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm starving. It's not that I feel like I'm hungry. And I just, by the time the day passes, I realize I hadn't eaten but 3 times today.
Yeah. And with your metabolic rate, but here's the thing. I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you, because I know there are a lot of people in your same situation listening about the amount of food, not even patients who are just on chemo. Sometimes they ask for, like let's say you ask for a certain kind of soup, your spouse or caregiver gives it to you, but at that moment you're suddenly turned off to it. You can't help it. There's so many things like that, but it can be taken offensively. There are a lot to navigate there. And I also feel like, you're saying this appetite, our desire to eat, is a very touchy thing. So if there's so many things that can turn that off, could be smell, could just be the moment, just could be how you feel, and you don't even know why sometimes. But then typically stomach cancer patients, if they've had the surgery and the vagal nerve is cut, then they won't have appetite as far as not have hunger. So we're used to having hunger cues from the moment we're born, so to not actually have hunger for food, you could go all day unless you knew that, oh, I'm supposed to be eating at 8 and 10 and 12 and 2, right? You're eating and you're eating when you don't even feel hungry. So there's a lot of complications that make it difficult to eat with the cancer and then this surgery. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel as hungry anymore. You don't have that hunger, desire to go and eat this or eat that. Sometimes if I have been without eating for 6 hours, then yeah, I get a little bit. But I go home, I get a couple of few crackers with some. I make my own hummus. That's one of my specialties. I make it spicy. I like it. Spicy and a lot of lemon. By the way, nothing to do with this. I throw a whole lemon with the skin in the blender, that gives you tremendous amount of vitamins. The skin of the lemon.
Oh,
The skin of the lemon is the most nutrition full of vitamin thing, and it gives you a very lemony thing. So I throw in a full lemon, take out the seeds with the skin when I make the hummus,
wow.
and a lot of olive oil, and it is anyway. I come home and I eat some crackers with some hummus and boiled egg, and sometimes I have an olive on top of it. It's like in Spain tapas. The tapas of when you go to Spain, you see have all the. It reminds me of my country, and then of course usually I take a little bit of wine to, and then. But you don't feel hungry. You don't feel hungry the way you used to feel before. No, you don't.
Very
You
difficult.
eat because you remember you have to eat, and you have to take nutrition.
Right,
So
right.
then you eat more quality food. You eat more. I try to eat as much quality as I can. I am diabetic, mild diabetic, but I'm diabetic still, and I stay away from. I eat rice. I eat, but smaller amounts. Small amounts of rice. No bread. Hardly any bread. Hardly. And a lot of olive oil, raw. Sometimes I just put extra olive oil on whatever I'm eating, because olive oil is excellent for your stomach. It's excellent for you, and but yeah, coming back to that.
You know, thank you for adding that. And we could, we'll probably wrap up today. We've had a nice long talk, but we could come back talking about some specific things in the food and really help the listener here. For example, the extra vitamin C in the rind and the lemon, but also olive oil is a perfect anti-inflammatory agent to put into your system. There are a lot of things it does for the body, but especially with cancer, we're looking for more anti-inflammatory foods and antioxidants. So we could even come back and go through different foods that you're eating and the why, at some point. That'd be very educating for other stomach cancer patients. But I just want to thank you both for coming back again. There's always more to talk about. And it's just it's so good of you to describe your experience, but also share your feelings and share how you see it. I mean, this makes it so appealing to people, and it makes you open so they can ask you questions. And we do invite everyone to contact us. We're available, free of charge. So don't worry about anything like that. Even if you're in another country, for us, if you're English speaking, for Jose, you don't have to be only English speaking because he's bilingual, right?
What was that? Sorry.
I said you're bilingual.
Oh yeah, fully, 100%.
Yeah, so if there's somebody who's Spanish speaking that has questions, who's been tuning in, it doesn't have to be English speaking. So just let us know.
Other than my sister, who is an old lady, an old doctor, she will not. She's not good for languages. All my family speaks English.
Oh, okay, all right.
In Spain, they all in Europe, basically everybody has 2 or 3 languages in Europe. That is normal. It's a normal thing for people to speak, mostly English, French, or Portuguese, Italian, but mostly English. English has become the primary language in the world.
I'm thinking more about some of the people in the US who are Spanish speaking only, that we might have some of those individuals interested. So any last minute, one final statement of goodbye or encouragement or anything? Carlton, you first.
No, well, I wanted. Yeah.
Oh,
I just said, keep going, keep coming, and keep waking up and keep stepping. I think that I really enjoyed today. I think it was a lot smoother than last time. We're gonna get good at this.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna get real good at this. We covered a lot of material, a lot of stuff this morning, and I look forward to the next time. I look forward to questions from people.
Me too.
And I hope sometime have. I know some other patients, and I would like to invite them. At least I'm not in charge of this, but I'm hoping that I can get the doctor, ask them to come on and share some of their experience also.
Absolutely. Just pass on those names afterwards. We're going to stay on after I stop the recording. You can give me that information.
I will definitely do so.
Okay, very good. And you have a last comment too, Jose? Anything?
No, basically, my last chemo is coming on this Friday.
Mhm.
And then I have a PET scan coming soon after that. And I kind of, sometimes I sound like that I am, I am a little bit scared, a little bit, on edge with the new PET scan coming up. And what are they going to find? They say peritoneum cancer does not go away. But I'm hoping for a miracle. And so I am a little bit antsy or a little bit scared. But then, of course, my other part of myself comes up and say, what are you scared about? There's nothing to be scared about. I convince myself that there is no. But yeah, it is very, to know, hey, do I still have this cancer? Is it worse? Has it spread? I don't think so. I feel pretty good, but you never know. Cancer is something that you might have it and you don't even feel it.
Right. And many people are in your position. I know because of what I do every day, there are many people who are still waiting to see. Many people have anxiety about scans. Also, many who have a cancer that's just gone dormant and they don't know. There's so much uncertainty. So you will be in our constant thoughts and also our prayers in my heart for you as well. But if there's anything we can do for you, I know you'll reach out and let me know. But I appreciate you sharing that as well, because it's a real aspect of having this diagnosis. You have all the hope in the world, and we do see all kinds of miracles happen. We see the scientific miracles where it absolutely works and you go on living. So, but there's always, the soberness to be careful and to be real about how you feel about things. So thank you for that. So I'm not sure what date we'll be back on, but we'll let the audience know once we're back out there. Contact us with your questions and your ideas. And thank you guys again for coming. Be sure to have some of your tea or whatever it is that you have today.
Yeah,
Okay.
today.
All right. Thank you so much. I
Take care. Very good.
Yeah.
You have a nice day. You have a nice week.
Thank you. You
Bye-bye.
too.
All right.